and my back was killing me. I'm sure you guys are aware of all the hills on campus and how much it's not very fun to walk on them. So I got back to my apartment and I started thinking about the design of the backpack and started questioning how it just kind of put the weight on the shoulders. So I started researching it and creating my own version of it, I guess you could say. And what I came up with was a bag that evenly distributes the weight throughout the back and the shoulders, so you don't really feel that shoulder pain and that pull as much as you would with the regular backpack. So that's what I created, and just recently brought it to market this past beginning or end of June, early July. So we just started sales, and I'm in the UT computer store and several other computer stores at universities in the Southeast, as well as local regional retail stores. And this fall, we're expanding into additional products, laptop sleeves, bag. I actually just spoke with my manufacturer. I don't told you this yet, but struck a deal with my manufacturer. We're going to expand the product line into new products, and he's going to front me the products, so I don't have to take any risk, and I'll sell them, and then we'll split the money. So it's a pretty good deal. As far as awards on campus, I won the undergraduate business plan competition back in 2010. I was a runner-up for the ball court pitch, which I believe is in November. It's coming up November, and the Boyd Venture Fund. I think it's cut off there. Boyd Venture Fund, which was the grant Ms. Graves talked about a minute ago. So, coming up with a new idea, it can come from certain different things, but what you try to find is the pain point, which is really what most inventors realize. It's usually something that happens everyday life. You'll experience, or something that happens in your life, and you just kind of question you start to think, is there a solution to that issue, and can you come up with a better solution or see an opportunity for a product? And that's what happened to me, like I explained a few minutes ago, is I saw that opportunity for a product, and I started to create it. So is anybody here working on a product or designing anything at the moment? Okay, well I go into detail about that, so I hope I don't bore you guys too much. So when you come up with an idea, first thing you want to do is look into the patenting, and that's what I did. I started doing some research on the design, and what you'll find is when you do the search, you can look up, Zach talked about the non-disclosure agreement, and what that is if you have an idea, either a physical product or something else, either a process that you think you can patent, you don't want to reveal it to somebody, because if you do, then that starts the 1-year period. It's called a public disclosure, and that's a publication, public use, offer for sale, or the sale of the invention. So before you do that, you're going to want to give people a non-disclosure agreement, and that'll protect you from showing it. And little tip, if you do that, once you have your public disclosure, you'll have 1 year to the date to patent your invention, or you can't do it. So what you can do is, if you have your public disclosure, you wait almost a year, and then you file a provisional patent, which is pretty much just like it's a patent, but it's very simple. It's like $125, and you just describe your invention, and you just submit it, and then they hold it for another year. So you almost have 2 years, and you really don't have to pay that much money to protect your product. So I kind of did that. I used the NDAs. Looking back now, I wish I had waited another 2 years so I could have saved the money, but use the NDA agreements. If you talk to somebody at a factory or something like that, you want to give them a form, have them fill it out, and then I had my public disclosure in 2010 when I did the undergraduate business plan competition, and then I did a patent search, and then the following February I filed the utility patent. So the next thing after that is what I started doing is doing some research and testing the product. And the undergraduate business plan competition, if you guys have an idea, I recommend you do it, because the business plan process, it really makes you ask yourself the right questions. Who's going to buy this product? How much money can you sell it for? What are people willing to pay for it? So it really helps you narrow down your target market, and that's really important when developing a product. And if you can create a functioning prototype, like I had, well, this is, I'll show you guys. This was one of the original ones that I made. It's kind of pathetic looking. It's like staples on it. If you guys want to look at it, that was one of the first ones I made. So it went from that into the finished product here, and to do that I went through 22 different versions. 22 different versions of that before arriving at that one, and throughout that process it was a lot of student testing. I had to I gave students a form, and you guys can do this too if you don't have a product, maybe with an idea like a website or as if you're working on any type of idea, business idea. Okay. Well, I'll pass this out too. These are just some testing forms that I gave to students just to ask them about the product and testing it. So during the testing phase, that's when I was able to make some important changes to the product and upgrade it or throw out some ideas that wasn't really sticking. So that's an important step in the process. The next thing, which Zach really wanted me to talk about, is manufacturing. And my experience in manufacturing, I worked with a factory in Knoxville, right outside Knoxville, about 25 minutes from here. And it was really convenient. I was able to go there whenever I wanted, look at how they were working on the products. They were making some samples for me. I was able to oversee it. I stay there for hours sometimes, and just over this older woman was kind of helping me out. So I just got to be there with her and walk her through the process of making it. I wasn't really worried about them stealing any of my intellectual property or stealing my product. It was just kind of a bunch of old ladies and factory owners, so that wasn't really a threat. The quality is usually going to be high in the U.S. The short lead times, if I needed to ship it, it would be almost immediately. I could just go pick it up if I wanted to. And having something that says made in the USA is really good. It's from talking to vendors and talking to people, they really want to see products made in the U.S. So it's really an advantage. And of course, the con, I don't think it's showing up there, is it's hard to manufacture in the U.S. because of what's submittable, maybe because of labor laws, unions, stuff like that, and the U.S. currency is a little higher than Chinese currency. So manufacturing abroad. So what happened to me was my factory in Knoxville. I had to go abroad. Abroad program I had signed up for about a year prior to that. I had to go abroad, and when I was there, I got an email from this factory, and they told me that they were going out of business, and I couldn't use them anymore. So naturally, in China, I was able to find another factory, and it ended up working out very well. But there are a lot more cons to manufacturing abroad than manufacturing in the U.S. And yes, you do get the lower cost. You get to bring the product for almost half or a third of what it would cost in the U.S. But you can't just show up and look at the factory, see how the process is coming. You can't protect yourself if they want to steal it. Most countries don't really have a lot of strict laws on intellectual property, so there is a potential risk for them to steal your idea. There's longer lead times, so for example, this product I ordered from my manufacturer in China almost in January, February, and I didn't get it until late June, so it takes a couple months to get the product. And the duties and taxes, this was something else that I brought. This was my invoice from the shipping company for just the fees that I incurred to bring the product into the U.S. And if you notice at the top, the only very top part is the actual shipping, and I think it's only about $600 or $700, and the rest is all just extra, taxes, duties. I think there's like an X-ray charge in there that the X-ray it to bring it in. So I mean, there's a lot of additional expenses you don't think about when you import, and of course the additional shipping cost is a lot higher. And the manufacturing tips. Now this is a website I use. It's called Alibaba. Maybe I could go through real quick. But this is a frequent terms you'll see on there. So MOQ, that's minimum order quantity. So that's the minimum amount that a factory is willing to produce for you in order for them to meet their quotas or make money for themselves. So that's an important term you see a lot. INCO terms are going to be the shipping terms. So a frequent one is FOB, which FOB and then the port. So for me, it's FOB Shanghai, which means that the factory will pay for everything to take the product from their warehouse or their factory to the boat in Shanghai, and then from the boat to my doorstep, I have to pay for everything. So if you're looking for a factory, some of the things I look for, and then that you guys, if you're looking to manufacture a product, you probably want to look for look at the company history, see how long they've been around, the qualifications that they have, if they have any certifications, if they have testimonials, if they have any well-known companies that have ordered products from them, and this is what I'll do. I'll show you in a second. And if you do end up going abroad or in the U.S., you probably going to want to have them sign another non-disclosure agreement or another one that has a non-compete, so that gives you a little extra protection. And if you can, go visit the factory. But this is Alibaba.com, so it's a website resource if you want to find a factory. Basically what I did is when I was in China, I tried to find something similar to what my product was without actually contacting the factory and sending them a sample of what I had, because I didn't want to, I wanted to decrease the risk of them seeing my my invention. So this is a product by a company called Built NY. I don't know if anybody heard of them. Built, they make like laptop sleeves, laptop bags. This was a backpack they sold for a while. It's made out of neoprene, but they knock it off in China. And I ordered one of their samples just to see how it looked, to get an idea of the quality of their product. So that was a good idea I came up with that gave me the opportunity to look at their quality without risking showing them my product. So here you can see, you get an idea of what you might potentially end up spending to order from them, and you can compare that to other factories too. The port where it comes out of, their minimum order quantities here, and this website has like a certification program, so that's another aspect of it. Down here's got additional information, just how much business they do every year, how many employees they have, and you can get to download a report to see more information on them. And yeah, so that's it. If you guys have any questions, I think it'd be better if I just answer some questions. If you guys have anything for it, yes?
Was there like a language barrier when you tried to order from them and all that, or?
Well, I was there studying Chinese, so I could speak it I guess conversationally, but when it came to more technical business terms, it was a little difficult. But the owner of the factory that I ended up working with, he spoke English pretty well. His designer didn't, and I had to, as best as I could, explain to him in Chinese what changes I wanted to the bag, and so that was kind of a challenge. But usually I'll just talk directly with the manufacturer. But most, if you send, because on this website, if you go on here, you can send them a message. You can do contact supplier, and you just go on there. It'll just usually it's like a picture down here, and you can just contact them, and they'll respond to you. Sometimes they're on here live, so you can just have a live chat with one of the reps at the factory. And most Chinese people, they're really good at hearing English and typing English, but it's really the speaking part that's hardest for them. So if you send them back and forth in emails, it wouldn't be a problem. In China, that's with China. As far as other countries, I'm not sure what their. Yep.
Is your communication mainly like online, or do you call them?
What, the manufacturer?
Yeah.
I talked to him on Skype. He has Skype, and we just do either chat on Skype or we do the voice call. It's pretty easy to use that. And, most Chinese people, they use a program called QQ. It's kind of like a Chinese Skype, but since he does business with Americans, he knows that they all use Skype. So.
Okay. So like with the cost, like and all the overhead with shipping, I don't know if it's okay. How much product did you get with all that overhead?
My first order was 500 units, and what I ended up doing, the thing I passed out, it was only for 300 bags, And what I did is, he was late on the order, so he agreed to pay to ship FedEx 200 of them. So that was, I'm sorry, what was the question? The
Just like I was wondering the quantity you got.
Oh, yeah, 500. And then the rest of the 300 he sent via sea, and that took about a month and a half, 2 months.
What did you do with your original shipment?
The original shipment?
The 500.
I've sold about close to half of them, so I still have the rest in here now, and I'm trying to get them out. And then move forward, or reorder probably. And I have some changes I want to make to it. So I'll probably just keep, because they're selling pretty well now, so probably just reorder them and then try to push. The thing I realized is if you have one product, if you talk about website sales, because I have a retail website, you have a very high bounce. Do you guys know what bounce rate is? Or anybody ever heard of bounce rate? It's basically when somebody goes to your website and they look at it for a second and they leave. And you have a very high rate of that if you have one product, because there's not much there for them to look at. So the more products you have online, the more people you get to your website, the more sales you might have. And then as far as selling to retailers, when I go and speak to stores and I show them the bag, they're interested, but they also say, what else do you have? So, I mean, the more products you have, the more business you'll make, and more yourself. So that's why I'm expanding. But these are doing well.
How far have you expanded?
I started just local shops in Tennessee, just going to mom and pop shops. I mean, that's where you have to start to get it for a new product. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but that's how it was just me, so that's how I wanted to do it. And I did well with them, and I started to expand to college bookstores. So I'm in UT now, Wake Forest, Appalachian State, and Towson University up in Maryland. And I'm still contacting more in the middle of deals with new ones. And then the next step is you start talking to like regional chains. So you'll talk to like a Mass General, which I was actually filling out a form for them today. It's a vendor form. And then you can talk to a larger company, and they'll put you in 10 different stores or 12 different stores, something like that. So it's kind of like a step ladder almost.
Was the original name Turtleback, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Turtleback was the original name, and that's another advice I'd say. If you guys are working on an idea and you want to develop a brand or trademark, it's important, but don't. I spent a lot of time on it, and I spent a lot of time with the Turtleback, and then I found out it was already trademarked. So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but yeah, the name is important, but I'd say try not to. The most important thing is the product and creating value.
How did you go with the name?
Which one?
How did you,
Okay, I was living in a hostel in Shanghai, and I guess I was just kind of playing with names, different terms, and that one kind of stuck.
So how does it work? Do you sell to the retailers? Like you're like, I'll give this to you for $10, and they just buy like 20 of them, or?
Yeah, I have it. There's two different ways. So there's the retail sales. So what I'll do is I'll sell directly to like one of you guys on my website. You just order on there, and then I'll sell also wholesale, which would be I'd sell 12 or 20 of them to a bookstore. So you'll go. I'm really focusing on the college market. So basically, what you do is you either go meet with them or send them an email with some information on the product, and if they like it immediately, they'll ask you, what do you do free shipping, and they'll just send me a purchase order, and I'll send them an invoice and then ship them bags. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
How are you driving traffic?
Right now, well, I struggled with that for a while, and I did a website company that really doesn't have very good search engine optimization tools, so I'm switching to another website company, and I hired a local company in Knoxville to optimize my site for me, because that's a very long process if I wanted to try to do myself.
Who are you using?
There's a store. It's called CyberTech Computers, and one of the guy, I think he said he was an MBA student or MBA teacher, sorry, at UT, and he owns his own computer store now in Knoxville. And one of his employees is kind of like a tech guru or search engine optimization guru. So,
So have you done any like PPC?
I did. I tried Google AdWords, and it's I don't know. I mean, if it's just I'm not doing it right, but you get a lot of hits, and you don't necessarily. I haven't gotten any sales using AdWords yet. I've gotten a lot of people driven to the site, but I heard a rumor. I don't know if anybody knows about this stuff, but some of the Google they'll hire like the spiders or something to crawl, and they'll just like go to your website, but they're just charging, and it's not really a real person. I don't know if anybody's heard that, but yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a high bounce rate, as I mentioned earlier. You just get a lot of people that go to the first page and then leave immediately. I don't see it for that long, so.
Are you currently the only employee in the company?
Yes, it's just me. I'm looking to hire some sales reps, so basically and that's the best place to hire, because sales reps, you can just pay them commission. You can hire them as an independent contractor, so they're not really technically part of your company, and you just pay them only if they sell something, and that way you don't have to deal with the headache with as far as like sales tax and other government stuff that kind of just gets in the way. Yep.
At this point, is Casenova a full-time job for you?
Yes, full time.
I know you said you won that competition and things like that, but financing it, did you have to get like a loan initially or what?
I mean, honestly, that 12K or 12,500 I got from UT, it gave me enough to place that first order. And when I said I got a really good relationship with my manufacturer, I actually haven't paid him back for those yet. He said, he knew the situation. He said, just pay me back once you start selling more. So I actually lucked out pretty well. I probably would have had to get some type of funding or some type of loan. I made it to the quarterfinal round for the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce competition. I think that was 10,000, but I mean, different businesses, the only expense I really have now is marketing. I mean, that's an important one, but most of the prior expenses are pretty much done with it. It's just the web expenses and the sales and the marketing. And yeah, I mean, those are the big things right now, unless I start hiring some good wages or paying myself, I guess.
So why did you start or decide to like create your own business instead of selling your ideas and stuff, or like going into with other companies?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of the judges actually in competitions would ask me that, but try licensing it. But I think I really wanted to do it. I thought there was more potential to make more money if I tried to go out there and do it myself. If I can establish a brand that kind of resonates with people, that people recognize the company. I have more intellectual property when I go to approach a company like Jansport or something like that, or in case I think it's a pretty big one too, and try to sell. So also I mean the patent right now is pending, so I don't know how it works with them if they buy it, if it's still pending or after it goes through. So so I want to just take the time now and try to sell it as hard as I can, and deal with selling it later on.
Did you do the patent yourself, or did you hire an attorney to help?
No, I did. The patent process, there's different ways to do it. You can hire somebody to do it for you, like an attorney, and that would kind of be more of an expensive route, but it's probably the best route as far as making sure you get it done right. The other way, you could do it yourself, but it'll probably take a lot of time. You could also hire a company like LegalZoom, and they can do it, but it's relatively inexpensive. But you don't know the quality of the patents. But yeah, I mean, I hired a patent attorney to do a search, and that was about around $1,500, and then they follow the patent application. I think that was around like $6,000. So it gets expensive. So that's why I recommend you guys do, if you have an idea, do the provisional patent, because you save yourself a lot of money. And it gives you almost 2 years to try to sell it. You don't really have to worry about paying for it.
Was there any point in the process where you just didn't know if you wanted to keep doing this, you didn't think it would sell, you didn't want to turn around, or what?
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot. It's always there's always every week, or it seems like there's a new challenge. It's I mean, getting everything to the just getting manufacturing, finding a factory and getting the first shipment in, that itself is just a huge challenge, and to get that done, it's kind of like a nice pat on the back. But then the next step is marketing and sales, and that's a whole nother battle. And that's what I'm in the middle of right now, and it's, you know, that's what it is right now, positioning the product, finding out how to market it, find the best sales distributions, the best channels to sell it, and you know, just marketing it and sales, I guess, is the challenge for me now. But yeah, I mean, you just got to fight through. I mean, if I had just given up, you know, when I made the, where's I want to pass, I mean, I could have stopped at that one and just said, what am I doing? But I didn't. I just kept going. I kept working on and making new prototypes, and you know, it won me some competitions, and it's got me some product now, and you know, just keep working on it. I mean, I'm not that much older than you guys. I'm 23, so I mean, you guys could be doing the same thing right now.
How were you able to sell to the companies when you brought your finished product?
Yeah,
How did you start those conversations?
Yeah, that was something I had to learn entirely on my own, because I had never really I had one marketing class at UT, and I hadn't really had any experience in sales. So I read a lot of books. I did some research on marketing. I actually was able. My father was able to help me. He was in sales his life, so he was a good resource for, you know, I could call him up and ask him, how did you do this? How do you do this? So that was good. But yeah, the process basically, like for bookstore, or
Yeah.
I can walk you through. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll call them up. This is what I did for local bookstores like in the Southeast, so like Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, or Georgia. I'll call them up and I'll say that I get this new company, we've got this new product, and we just launched, and seeing if they're available sometime